Здравствуйте, дорогие зрители и гости моего канала. Меня зовут Юра, и мы продолжаем играть The Raven Legacy of Master Thief. Все странное слово в этом английском языке. Ну ладно, я там особо не смотрел эту транскрипцию. Ну это не особо важно. В прошлой серии мы особо там не продвинулись, опрашивали всяких людей, которых не сказал бы, что уж слишком много. Поговорили с доктором, поговорили с этим... Забываю, Найл, что-то Листрат хочется сказать, но Листрат это ж не из этой игры, а из Шерлока Холмса. Ну, вы поняли, о ком я говорю. И поговорили с дворецким. Мутный тип, но что-то, я не знаю, он, не он. Ну, в общем, убийца был явно тем, кого она знала. Причем, что опять же отметает то, что это дворецкий, есть ситуация, когда баронесса упала, чуть не потеряв сознание. И явно увидела она не дворецкого. Это во-первых. А во-вторых, она писала записку. И навряд ли, если бы она знала, что вот с нами тут убийца, навряд ли она бы начала бы что-то писать. Потому что не завидеть за полгода дворецкому убийцу, это было бы странно. Ладно, давайте продолжать. Я буду загружать игру, потому что в прошлый раз там что-то какие-то непонятки загрузились, не то место, которое нам нужно. Поэтому так, сохранение было. Вот это, по-моему, последнее наше сохранение. Давайте. Погнали! В общем. Если вы застряли, попробуйте поговорить со всеми персонажами. Спасибо за подсказочку. А что нам тут еще делать? Ну вот с чувачком-то мы поговорили. Что там в кают-компании? Странное такое название. Явно такое корабельное. Кают-компания. Так, ну-ка давай. Такой чик-чик гуляет, потанцевал немножко, музычку услышал. А ты кто там? Давайте откроем. Чипчики. Правильно, чипчики надо взять. Да что? Ничего не слышал. Ты о чем говоришь вообще?
I need this tool for a criminal investigation.
Ну, ты о чем подумал? Вообще уже. Ну, неплохо.
You could answer a few questions.
Что там произошло прошлой ночью?
Experience of last night?
Oh, terrible. Dinner was fantastic. Everyone was excited about having a pleasant drink under the stars. And then this.
You were in the saloon all night long.
As the captain, I have to care for my passengers. After you.
Ну да, как мы и говорили, он такой доброжелательный итальянец, который поддерживает здесь атмосферу. Про баронессу давай ко мне расскажи.
She really surprised me. After she was so unapproachable at the reception and didn't show her face for the entire afternoon, I was afraid she was.
Чё это она не показывала? Там такое лицо было, что им показать сложно.
But then she arrived in the early evening in the best of moods. Already had a few.
Already have.
Did she say anything to you?
She asked me.
А, Легран же его зовут. Ничего, все не забываю, кто Листрат.
I said it would be great fun. The whole ship will be there, and you don't want to miss that, I told her.
And then?
She seemed to like the idea. She smiled and then left again for a few minutes.
Что там за инвалидишка такая сидит слева?
And seemed very happy. We drank a toast to life.
Ясно. А чё она устала?
At some point she didn't feel well anymore?
She overdid it a bit. She suddenly started to swoon.
Ну, я помню, ее там завели в каюту.
For a moment in her cabin. At first, she didn't want to. She definitely wanted to stay in the saloon. But then she realized that she really did need to lie down. We left together. You know the rest of the story.
Ну да. А кто шампанское отравил, не подскажешь?
Did everyone drink from the same bottle of champagne last night?
There was more than one bottle, if that's what you mean. There were quite a few guests, and the event lasted
А где все эти
several
люди?
hours.
The last bottle of champagne, the one the Baroness drank from. Did anyone else drink from it?
А, да, ты скажет.
We have reason to believe that the champagne was drugged.
Incredible. But wouldn't that have made everyone drowsy?
Not if it was only the Baroness's glass that was drugged.
I see. That's possible. On a night like that, many glasses are filled and emptied. There are several stewards, many guests. No one keeps track of every glass and every bottle.
A few drops in a glass?
Yes, it's certainly possible.
Possible. А мой
The
бокал?
glass you handed me last night. Where did you get it?
Ah, I understand. You think your glass was poisoned as well?
Did you pour it yourself?
No. I saw that you weren't doing so well and wanted to rescue the situation. I took the first available glass and I give it to you.
Was it on the table?
No, I hurry over to you, together with Dr. Gebhardt, who, of course, he had the glass in his hand. He was looking around for a place to set it down, so that he could examine
Ну-ка,
you.
ну-ка.
I took it from him.
And gave it to me.
I'd like to apologize for that, but
Чужой бокал
you look
подпихнул, ах
so
ты.
worse for the
Вот.
wear, and I just wanted to comfort you.
Вот тоже.
I didn't think of looking for a new glass for you.
So the doctor had the drugged glass in his hand.
Ну, тут одно из двух. Точнее, даже одно. Кто-то хотел отравить и доктора.
Is it possible to find out where the alarm was set off?
I'm afraid not. There are alarms all over the ship.
I saw that they're sealed. Can't we just check whether the seal is broken?
I'm afraid they're gonna be missing on a lot of alarms. You know, these
Ну, вообще-то это хреново, ты знаешь.
over the years.
So, you're saying that the alarms haven't been regularly maintained?
Я
I'll
это
inform
об этом
the crew
доложу.
immediately, of course.
Of course.
Ну
What
что
can
там
you
с
tell
пассажирами?
me about the passengers?
Oh, not that much, I'm afraid. I wanted to get to know them properly at the reception. In most cases, I just shook hands with them as they boarded the ship. There are a few regulars on board, and after dinner, I had a conversation with Mr. Kreutzer, a talented
Ну, этот
violinist,
скрипач,
and Lady Westmore.
который не нужен.
But you already
А,
know them
напряг.
from the train.
It seems like there aren't that many passengers on
Эти
board.
где леди? Это, блин,
These
вот маскот.
bloody airplanes are making our lives miserable. Can you imagine? Grown men prefer to jam themselves into a narrow metal coffins instead of enjoying the fresh
Ну это же
sea air on a
медленно.
ship.
Самолет же
It's
быстрее
all about
гораздо.
saving time.
О, о чем
It
я говорю.
shouldn't be about how much time it takes to get from A to B, but about how you spend that time. What you experience on the
Не, ну
journey.
так все, конечно, хорошо, но кому-то уж не нравится на корабле там
I'll get
морская
back to my
болезнь.
investigations now.
Ciao, Constable.
Ча, какао. Ну-ка.
Lady Westmacott seems to be an early bird.
А чё
But
она
maybe that's
в
just
этом
because of all the
инвалидном кресле?
excitement. I saw a twinkle in her eye on the train. She's eager to be part of a real detective story.
А, блин, это... Может, она всегда в нем сидит? Ну, не знаю.
Lady Westmacott, already on your... Oh,
Constable,
Ква говорит.
don't you think before you speak?
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
No time for chit-chat. What have you found out?
We're still working on the case. Actually, I have a couple of questions for you.
Please, go ahead.
Че на
What
поезде
did you
был?
think of our adventure on the train? An extraordinary story, isn't it?
I'm glad that you were able to prove yourself, Mr. Zellner.
Hopefully not for the last time.
I'm glad that everything ended well. I want to thank you sincerely for taking care of Matthew.
Да ладно, пожалуйста. Это был мой долг.
Bear to think about something happening to him.
It all worked out in the end.
А вор?
Do you think that the thief from the train and the murderer are the same person?
I think the new Raven is capable of anything.
Ну да, в принципе, если это новый Ворон, блин, то он тогда может действительно что угодно делать. А вот старый, если старый, то тогда два человека
As
это.
a dramatist, the return of the Raven would certainly be delightful. A legend comes back from the grave for one last job. It's quite romantic. At the same time, though, I'd be disappointed.
Why is that?
I
О,
followed
я
the
догадался.
Raven's career closely. There weren't many burglars with such character and charm. His burglaries were clever and entertaining, but he was sloppy in London. He almost got caught, and I'll never forgive him for the affair on the train. No, I would much rather that the Raven stayed dead and had nothing to do with the burglary
Ну
or
да,
the
там
murder.
было как-то грубо все. Кого
What do you
подозреваешь?
think? Who is our suspect?
Everyone, or almost everyone. Everyone on board is physically capable of shooting someone.
Тут даже паренек
Has the
маленький.
dark desire to take the life of a defenseless person.
One cannot read minds.
And one should not try. You have to collect evidence, traces.
Да я уже
clues.
собрал.
That's what will lead us to the killer. It won't be like a bad crime novel, in which they introduce a new character shortly before the end who, surprise, surprise, is also the murderer.
Murderers leave evidence. They're nervous or unnaturally relaxed. They have to adjust constantly.
And because of that, they make mistakes. This is your chance, Constable. If you find the mistake, you'll find your murderer.
А что ты думаешь про
Have you noticed
баронессу?
anything related to the murder?
Unfortunately not. I was already
Это
in
плохо.
my cabin and missed all the commotion. Damnable old age.
You're telling me.
Oh, you're still young. At my age, you have to expect that you won't experience much anymore. And although I've written about murder so many times, I've never actually witnessed one. How exciting.
I doubt everyone is so relaxed in such a situation.
Heartless is the word you're searching for, right, Constable? I
Yes.
certainly didn't want the Baroness to be murdered, but if I can't undo it, then I might as well enjoy it.
Что такое с
What do you
Леграном?
think of Inspector Legrand?
He seems to be as skilled as everyone says. Intelligent, focused.
А может он и есть убийца?
I had a chat with him yesterday, and he impressed me, but there's something haunted in his eyes.
I don't think he ever really stopped hunting the Raven.
Catching the Raven made him famous. What if he actually shot the wrong person? Unjustified fame bothers people, the good ones at least.
And you think he's one of the good ones?
Anyone who tries so hard to tear down his own memorial must be honorable. Or insane.
Ну да, он скорее инсейн, блин.
Please keep me
Хотя это не
informed,
мешает ему быть
Constable Zelmer.
благородным.
Of course.
Хорошо, с ней мы побазарили. Здесь нам больше делать особо нечего. Единственное, так, стоп. Я могу вверх там посмотреть.
The ship must have been rebuilt at some point. I'm sure it didn't.
Ну, это все. Ну ладно. Пойдем на корму сходим, посмотрим. Может там кого встретим. Никого. Определенно никого. В эту компанию не пойду. Я пойду метнусь. Знаете куда? Пойду опять схожу в комнату к баронессе. Не, давайте сначала сходим туда, может там малой появился. Может он что видел. Я видел по загрузке, там вот малой должен стоять. На носовом кубрике. Играться в эту игру. Но малого нет. Так, чувак.
He won't let me talk to our young friend. He respects Legrand far too much. If I want to get into the cargo hold, the bottle should be full of water. Unless the good... No way to verify it.
Ладно, здесь ничего не поменялось. Значит, я иду в комнату. Давай, иди, не стесняйся. Не дури мне тут голову. стесняется, он, понимаешь. Вниз по лестнице. Не, я хочу сюда. А появились чипчики. Я хочу его применить на вазу. По-моему, единственное, что здесь могу сделать.
Good work.
Ну давай.
There's something in there.
Что-то кучу этих перьев. И что это?
Someone stuffed this in the vase.
Ну-ка, ну-ка.
Looks like it's been used to muffle a gunshot.
Опачки.
If this isn't an important discovery, I don't know what is.
А это важно.
Legrand, here I come.
Он же подсказывает. Ну, я, в принципе, и сам собирался к Леграну идти. Что это такое? Опаленная наволочка. Тогда понятно, что перья делают. Сейчас сквозь подушку стреляли, пытались использовать подушку в качестве глушителя, да? Ладно, хорошо, давай спустимся. Пойдем сообщим об этом нашему Леграну.
A singed pillowcase is proof that there must have been a second gunshot.
Дынц, ты что делаешь? Разбил там мудила. Вообще охренел, что ли?
I didn't realize.
I'm not getting anywhere. I'm going to question each passenger individually. Anyone without an airtight alibi will be checked for gunshot residue.
But, Inspector...
People trip up when you put pressure on them, Constable Zellner. The Raven is nervous. He's changed his methodology and become a...
Да это не ворон, блин. Я уже практически уверен. Да ты стой, у меня тут есть кое-что.
I'll see it in his eyes. After you.
But, Inspector Legrand...
Он вообще даже слушать не хочет. Скотобаза такая.
We have no proof that the Raven and the murderer are the same person.
You may not know it, but I do. I will catch him with or without your help.
Да ты достал. Пойду-ка я в свою каюту схожу.
I don't believe it. What's gotten into him?
Да наркоман.
It makes no sense to tell him about my theories if his opinion is already set. I need evidence. Or better yet, the murderer. I also need his lab if I'm going to get anywhere. I need to get in there somehow. And I really need to talk to the stowaway. He may have information, and the inspector will just ignore him, since he's too young to be the Raven.
Логично. Да, блин, ты поворачивайся давай.
Legrand locked the door.
Вот собака.
The lock isn't especially secure.
Ясно. Мы можем
I need something to open the lock.
С чем? Щипчиками? Нет, не щипчиками. Хераном. Ни с чем ничего не применим. Ладно.
Some of the down feathers I found in the vase are...
Подожди.
I need some...
А если пуховые перья применить на вот эту? Нет. А если наволочку применить на перышки? Тоже нет. А если наволочку применить на камушки? Тоже нет. Если камушки на наволочку? Вообще ничего не могу сделать. Ну и в пенях тогда. Ладно. А к себе в каюту я не пойду, нет? Типа не хочу? Ну ладно. Не очень-то и хотелось. Тут, оп, куда-то ушел, он такой исчез. Ладно. А может быть там доктор уже?
We're lucky that the Lydia has a... I suppose it was added during the war. Dr. Gebhardt locked the door. Something tells me...
Ясно. Ничего не ясно. Камушки я поднял. Все поднял. Подожди. Я, наверное, знаю, куда их применить можно. Ну-ка. Так, может с тобой побазарить? Может почему?
The death of his mistress doesn't really bother Inch. He's only what...
Ясно. Давай-ка на боковую, говорю, палубу. Не на боковую, а на боковую палубу. Тут уже ходить научишься. Ё-моё! А вот ни хрена. Хотел сюда камушки кинуть на эту. По лестнице, может там что-то, конечно, появилось. Но давай пока еще на кубрик сходим. О! Все правильно я пошел. Хе-хе. Пацанчик. Что-нибудь сюда. Ой, там есть с кем поговорить еще. Отлично.
Matt is keeping himself busy with that strange game. He seems to be okay again, but I think he'd be running around all over the place if he'd really come to terms with what happened on the train. Hello there, partner.
Hi.
Are you all right?
Uh-huh.
Have you
Как
recovered
дела?
from our adventure?
Mm-hmm. Mr. Zellner,
Hmm?
what's going on?
What do you mean?
Everybody's acting so strange, and there's tape across that door. I saw that in
Да
the movie
ничего
once.
страшного, бабку-то
You don't
убили.
have to be
Не волнуйся,
worried.
все в порядке.
Is it about
Каждый
the
день
man
такое
from the
происходит.
train?
It might be about the thief, yes.
Haven't you caught him yet?
I'm working on it.
Okay.
Как мамаша?
I heard you and your mom used to argue a lot.
Да?
We did.
А я не слышал.
Everything was bad. The house, school, the other kids. We didn't have much money, and I was always alone.
You do know that
Нефиг
your
было
mother would
батяню
love to have
выгонять.
been with you, don't you? She had to go out to work to earn money.
She wouldn't have had to, if Dad were still around.
Ну, это я об этом же.
And how do you get along with her now?
I'm always happy when we do something together on vacation. She has more time for me now, and I
Ну,
like
там,
my
небось, по
boarding
мужикам
school. I
там.
have lots
Щух,
of friends,
щух.
and the teachers aren't so bad.
Что думаешь об этом
Your
профессоре
mother
Люсьене,
and
блин?
Professor Lucien seem
Ну,
to be
смотри,
on
воркуют
very
уже,
good
как голубки.
terms
Сейчас
with each
в
other.
каюту в одну пойдут.
Don't you like him?
Don't know.
He seems to be very nice.
I guess.
Lady Westmacott is all by herself in the saloon. Maybe you'd like to visit her later.
Sure. The lady tells exciting stories.
I know. She's my favorite writer.
She told me that it's not much fun to write detective novels. She'd rather write something else, but her fans always want the same thing.
They made her rich and famous.
I told her to write what she wants to write. If it's good, someone will buy it. And if not, at least she had fun writing it. Then she smiled and nodded. She said it was a good idea.
What are you
Чё
playing
играть?
there?
Я не
I'm playing
понимаю.
shuffleboard. At least I'm trying to.
Never played it before.
It's easy. Professor Lucien explained it to me.
And
Ой,
who
какой
won?
добрый.
We didn't play.
You didn't want to play with him, did you?
Он не хочет, наверное.
Do you want to play a game with me?
Sure.
Ну,
Then
давай
let's get
поиграем.
started.
Блин, я
Oh,
правила
yeah.
хотел
What
почитать.
are we playing for?
I thought we just...
That's boring. We have to bet something. Otherwise, it isn't fun.
You English people.
So I'll bet my brand new slingshot. And you?
I don't want to...
How about ice cream in Cairo?
Okay.
Хорошо, давай
If I
мороженое.
win, I get the slingshot.
Рогатка мне
If I
твоя
lose,
нахер не
I
надо.
get an ice cream in Cairo.
Hey! Never try to cheat Matt Miller. So, what do you say? Ice cream versus slingshot?
All right. Let the games begin.
Чё? Mgjan's Direction? Не. Я победил, да? Ах ты собака. Так, здесь по идее стиком нужно, да? Блин. Ну ах ты сволочь. Ну слоги. Блин. Ладно, я проиграл. О, минус 10. Хе-хе-хе. О! Видишь, я могу. Почти выиграл. Ах ты сволочь. Что наделал? 27 у него. Блин, я ему лучше сделал. О, он мне лучше сделал. Прикольно. О! Дал. Я зол. Я проиграл.
Aha! I win. That's one ice cream for me.
You've been practicing.
Ладно, все, мне надоело. Я больше не хочу.
I think I've had enough for now.
Oh, come on. One more time.
Later.
Okay.
Мороженое ты свое заработал. Денег у меня нету все равно. Чё тут воркуете,
Miss Miller
голубки?
and the professor are talking intensely. She seems pretty relaxed by her standards. Good morning, Miss Miller. Professor Lucien?
Constable Zellner, how are you? I heard you passed out last night.
Страшно.
Well, not quite. I was poisoned.
Oh,
Хоу-хоу-хоу, как
That
говорится.
wretch!
Who do you mean by that wretch?
That stowaway! That new raven!
Да вот я
The young
сомневаюсь.
man can't be the murderer.
Его в тюрьму
Constable Oliver
посадили.
had
блин.
already apprehended him when the shot was fired.
You mean...
Whoever killed the Baroness is still on the loose.
I think I should take my leave.
А ты чё
I'd like to
нервничаешь?
rest
Ну-ка,
for a
ну-ка.
while.
One last question, Professor.
Ну-ка, ну-ка. Ключ от сейфа
The
дал?
safe in Legrand's cabin can only be opened with 3 keys. Am I right?
That's correct. We sent the first to Monsieur Mokhtar of the Egyptian Museum via air freight. I have one, and the inspector has the other.
But it was originally planned that someone else should carry the 3rd key, right?
You are well informed, Constable. Baroness von Trebitz should have had it. But then there were concerns. And for that reason, Inspector Legrand took it himself.
Was that his idea?
Well, yes, you could say that. I want to go back to my cabin. I'll see you later, Mary.
oh, of course.
Обломилась Мэри. Как говорится. Чё ты там посмеиваешься, я не понял.
I didn't want to interrupt your conversation with Professor Lucien so abruptly.
I don't know what's wrong with him.
Learning that there's still a burglar on board seemed to frighten him.
He was so relaxed the whole time, and then...
And then the stupid Swiss constable came by and made him anxious.
Ну вот что-то как-то на него стрелкой указывает.
No matter. I'm sure he'll calm down and come back soon enough. May I ask you,
Of course.
Ну, давай сейчас побазарим. Про
how
Мэтта
is
давай.
Matt? He seems happy enough.
After all the commotion, he's already back to his old self again.
Ну,
But
это
I
радует.
haven't told him about the murder. That would be a bit too much for him.
I think he's made of
Что у тебя с
sterner stuff.
челюстью?
I want to thank you again for what you did on the
Только
train.
посмотри, блин, как она у меня
I wouldn't have known.
херячит. Думаю, у людей такого не бывает.
Think nothing
Ты
of
вообще
it.
человек или ты это чужой? Сейчас такая распахивает, там пасть такая вторая вылазит. Так, ну-ка,
How
вечером
was
что
last
делала?
night for you?
It was awful. I was having a conversation with Edgar, Professor Lucien, here on the forecastle. Then I wanted to look for the lady and went forward via the side deck. When I passed the Baroness's cabin, I heard a muffled scream.
You heard a scream.
Yes. I thought the Baroness probably had a fall. I went to the door and listened for a moment. Since I couldn't hear anything, I knocked on the door and asked whether she was all right. There was no answer.
Interesting. And then?
I didn't know what to do, so I tried to open the door. It was locked. I saw the Baroness's butler, Mr. Inch, on the forecastle. I thought he might have the key and went back. On the way, the bobby crossed my path, and then Edgar, who wanted to check the safe. I explained the situation to him, and then the alarm went off.
Про Дворецкого.
The Baroness's butler said that he was on the forecastle as well.
Yes, he was standing on the other side of the deck smoking a cigarette.
Ну вот, с
Was
него
he on the forecastle the whole time?
снятые подозрения, как
I'm
говорится.
not sure. He was there, and later he was on the side deck with us. Oh, yes, he looked after you while you were unconscious. He unbuttoned your collar and held your head while the doctor checked you.
But you can't say for certain whether he came from the forecastle with you and Professor Lucien or afterwards.
Well, no. But where else could he have come from?
Что
How
там
did the
кричала-то она?
sound?
Может там
It was a
пьяные
short
крики были
outcry.
во сне?
Very frightened, as if someone had been startled.
Was it a woman's voice?
Yes, the voice was high.
So it could have been a scream from the Baroness. Possibly because she discovered someone in her
Еще одну
cabin.
бутылку водки нашла.
Possibly.
That person might have threatened her with a weapon so that she wouldn't scream for help.
Oh, God.
He waited until the coast was clear.
Oh, please, stop it, Mr. Zellner.
Did you report that to Inspector Legrand?
Yes, last night. He was very interested and took a lot of notes. But I wanted to look for Lady Westmacott, and he let me go without further delay. He said that he'd take down my full statement today.
I understand.
Do you think the man from the train also killed the Baroness, Constable Zellner?
I don't know yet.
It's horrible. Explosions, thieves, murderers. This isn't the right place for a lady and a little boy.
Леди, блин. Она же
You
с
and
профессором,
Professor
блин,
Lucien
собиралась
seem
эта
to be
леди.
having a lively
Ляди.
conversation.
Oh, yes. He's an expert in ancient Egyptian art
Леди,
and
как
preeminent in
говорится.
hieroglyphic research.
Мгм.
He's the head of the Egyptian
Хотел
department in the British
показать тебе там
Museum, you know?
древнеегипетское
And he's
искусство.
going to open an exhibition at the
каюте.
Egyptian Museum in Cairo.
Right. For the eye.
They had planned on exhibiting
Ага,
both jewels
глазки
together for the
забегали.
first time in
Блин,
decades.
челюсть, конечно,
but
вообще как она мне
that's not going to
коник
happen
это
now,
напоминает.
sadly. I think it's quite upsetting for him.
We're working hard to ensure that at least one eye will be on display.
I know. I'll ask Lady Westmacott if she'd like to participate in the opening of the exhibition. I think it would be good for her.
And Professor Lucien will surely offer you a private tour.
Ну, естественно, эту экскурсию по каютам.
You're American, aren't you?
That's correct.
And you moved to England because of the job?
I lived in England before. During the Second World War, I volunteered. I worked in a pharmacy on a US base north of London.
In a pharmacy? Interesting.
Well, it was the war and everyone was sent where they could help best.
Please, go on, Mrs. Miller.
After the war, I studied music in London. I met my husband there. We married and went back to the States together.
He was also American?
No, English. But he said he had problems with his family and he wanted to be as far from them as possible.
And you gave up your studies for him?
Well, yes, I did.
А чё матерью одиночкой ты
Life
стал?
as a single mother couldn't have been easy.
It was pretty tough then. I worked from morning till night and it was still only enough for the bare necessities. And I couldn't give Matt all the attention he needed.
And then Lady Westmacott entered your life.
It was like an angel appeared to me. She must have offered me the position out of pity. I had no experience as a carer. She made me a generous offer. I couldn't believe it. And she really adores Matt. She's offered him a good education, and now he has every opportunity in life.
An almost unbelievable story.
I'm still afraid that it's a dream and that I'll wake up one day.
Так, я
How
понял.
does it
Прошел
feel to work for
вроде
such a
бы.
world-famous person?
The work is very interesting and varied, and it pays well too.
You are very lucky that the lady offered the position.
I just hope she won't change her mind one day. I really make an effort to measure up to Lady Westmacott's expectations.
А этому по мужикам не ходи, а то
Sometimes I feel
еще
like I fall short.
обидится.
Lady Westmacott couldn't ask for a better companion.
I'm saving up as
Подлезал,
much money as
короче.
I can all the same. I'd do anything so that Matt doesn't have to give up his new life.
Что за инспектор Паркер?
Lady Westmacott dropped a hint on the train that she
Ah.
killed her hero, Partout. What did she mean by that?
Oh, she must have meant the manuscript.
Manuscript?
She always takes it with her. It's an unpublished Partout novel. I once asked her why she never published it. She said that according to her will, the novel's only to be published after her death.
And in it, Partout will be killed?
Maybe. I've never read it. No one has. You'd better ask her yourself.
Так, а про
If you
транквилизатор у
worked
тебя
in a
есть какие-нибудь
pharmacy,
мысли?
you would certainly know something about medicines and poisons.
Everything is a potential poison, Constable. It depends on the dose.
Have you ever heard of chloral hydrate?
It's a tranquilizer, isn't it?
I'm asking
Да, я вообще
you.
только что
Lady
только что
Westmacott
сказал.
also asked questions like that for her last novel. But since I've never wanted to kill anyone, I never bothered with things like strychnine and arsenic and all that. I could recommend something for a headache, a sore throat, or a rash.
That's kind of you, but there's really no need. I'll be seeing you, Miss Miller.
Constable?
Maybe Miss Miller has... Unfortunately, there's no guarantee that people with low self-esteem tend to...
Ладно, ясно. Ну, ничего не понимаю. Ну-ка, Мэтти. Играть я с тобой больше еще раз не хочу, но может ты о чем-нибудь побазаришь со мной?
Hello, Matt.
Hi there.
I have to
Goodbye.
leave again.
Sure.
Sir, yes, sir. Ты офигел? Ты мне чуть по заднице не попал. Давайте поднимемся. Может там этот телеграм. Я наверх. Даша, ну смыться-то. Конечно, наверх. Где он там всех опрашивает? Конечно, наверху. Никого здесь нет. Короче. Я больше не знаю, что мне тут делать. Что мне тут делать-то, а? Надо хоть какое-то продвижение найти, я даже не знаю. Побазарили совсем. Единственное, там остается с малым этим выиграть у него наконец. Ну, это же бред! Это же неправильно. Так быть не должно. Пойдем на корабль, сходим. Я там в кают-компании сидит. Ясно. Интересно, типа. О.
Mr. Kreutzer, come on, you have to give me a bit more. You're the only one who was on the train and who has no alibi for last night.
As I said, I was in my cabin.
Are you sure that it was your cabin and not the Baroness's?
Legrand will question the guests one after another. But if he doesn't get the answers that he wants to hear, it could become unpleasant for them.
Ну ясно, ладно, я пока... Там же можно, да. Я пока не буду им мешать. Пускай развлекаются. Вот, а помешаю я им уже в следующей серии. Ну что ж, надеюсь, понравилось. Спасибо, что смотрели. Всего вам самого наилучшего. С вами был Юра. Пока-пока.